It's time for the Creative Real Estate Podcast, your source for out-of-the-box real estate investing strategies, brought to you by realbluespruce.com.
Welcome back to the Creative Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Adam A. Adams, the Win-Win Maker, and we talk about all things out of box. So it's not all about creative financing here. We have ways of finding out how to do the biggest things that you possibly can, how to actually utilize the scraps that you're getting rid of so that your real estate business can be more and more profitable. And that comes in with what we're doing today. So we have Luke Weber, and he is in Vegas. He's been doing fix and flips for several years, and he'll be at about 100 fix and flips this year and 20 wholesales, and he has over a dozen rentals. So it's really interesting what he's doing here, and that's what we want to learn and bring out is that he actually started a new company, a wholesaling materials company, so that he could get his materials cheaper for his fix and flips since he does so many. So really, really interesting things. We'll actually just let him talk a little bit about himself. So Luke, tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate in the first place.
Yeah. First, thanks for having me, Adam. Appreciate it. Always fun to talk real estate and share some knowledge. I got into real estate back in 2001 as a real estate appraiser. That was in Las Vegas, and realized that, hey, I could be walking in people's houses, or I could be buying houses and making some decent money. So I flipped my first house in 2003. Started buying rentals back then, and that was my start. I took a few years off during the bad times and got back into it in 2010. Started into it slowly and safely. That's my biggest thing, is doing it safely. And 2012 rolled around. I closed my appraisal shop and took it full time, and slowly grew it into the company I have today.
Okay, awesome. So you have more than one company, though, right? You have a wholesaling material company. You also own a real estate brokerage.
Yep.
And you've got your flipping company. That's 3. Am I missing any?
Well, I've got the rentals, which is really another one. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got, I know there's one more in there. The main idea is multiple revenue streams, right? That's why you go out and create things that are going to create more money for you. That's why people buy rentals.
Okay, I have a question for you. So a lot of people talk about focus. And when they're talking about focus, it's that if you drill down an inch, only 1 inch wide, but go a mile deep, and become laser focused on one thing, you're more likely to be more successful. So what do you have to say about that part?
Yeah, focus is always something that even the most focused people have to deal and battle with. You have to realign your focus and know what you're actually going after. If you know that you want to, using your analogy, drill that hole down to the center of the earth, your goal is, I'm getting to the center of the earth, right? So no matter whether it's a 1 inch hole or a 10-foot hole, I am going there. And a lot of people say, I have to do things today. I have to do something very large and grandiose. And it's like, man, how do I even get that going? What do I do? For me, I really look at the idea that any big task is built of small tasks, and they're not all done at the same time. And it's just taking the one at a time, and you focus on that task that you need. So running multiple companies and doing multiple things. I mean, I've got a life as well as all the businesses, right? And I do the businesses so I can focus on my life. But it's being able to turn off the individual thing that you're working on when it's completed, or when you're at a standstill, or you have to change that focus to the next thing, and not let that little bird be chirping in your ear, hey, you still got to do this, you still got to do this. Because that just takes away from your progress on whatever you truly are working on at that time. So it's knowing the small task you have to do to create the larger task, and that really helps me personally focus on what my final goal is.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't know how to do that, let me just ask you to teach me how to focus on the small task.
Well, you have to take a look at yourself and really understand your strengths and weaknesses. Um, if you are easily distracted, don't go somewhere with a lot of distractions. A lot of people are like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go work at Starbucks. People are coming and going, walking, the doors chime in, people are ordering things, people are talking loud. That's going to mess up with your focus. You're not going to be able to do that. If you have a very cluttered desk, get all of that off there and only have the one thing that you're on. One of the things that I really like is a timer, right? Saying this task, I'm going to work on it for 20 minutes. You set a timer. Don't put it somewhere where you can see it. If it's your phone or a watch or something, put it in a drawer, put it somewhere else. And then it's just, this one task is in front of me, nothing else. And I'm going to get it done.
Great. Very good stuff. So, how do your businesses work together?
Well, they're very symbiotic, right? The brokerage is a lead generation on two fronts. So let's start with the where I started was the flipping company. We did more and more flips, and I realized that, hey, you know what? We're paying a lot in realtor fees and broker fees. We manage those fees, but I wanted another company that could feed more deals into my flipping company. And what's better than a realtor pocket deal? So it's like, okay, I can do this, I can make money, I can hire a broker. I'm not a realtor. I don't want to be a realtor. I have no desire ever to be a realtor. But I can hire somebody to do that. So I can have somebody manage that business for me, and leads can come in. But I can also feed my realtors listings and rentals from either my own lead generation, that deals I don't get, but they can take on as a full retail listing,
Mm-hmm.
or they're actually doing my listings as well. So that's the symbiosis there. But as far as the wholesaling business goes, whenever you're we have one storefront, and that's the realty. That's the real estate brokerage. That's what we push for our frontage. But in the back, about a third of the floor space we have is set up as a design studio or showroom. When you sign up for these wholesale contracts, you typically have to say, I've got X amount of floor space for your material to show, and I plan on purchasing or selling this amount of material over the next 12 months. And the more you sell, the better rates you get. So we have people come into the brokerage, our realtors bring in clients, and they're looking for houses, or they have a house that needs repairs, and they're like, what's that back there? And they can come and peruse materials and say, you know what, my house would sell better if we put these granite countertops in.
Okay. Great. So what materials do you have back there? Granite countertops is one of them?
Yeah, so the majority is we have 4 different cabinet displays, each with a different countertop on it. Within a couple of those, we have sinks and faucets built in, non-working, but it's just for show. And then we have laminate and tile flooring. We also have some carpet samples as well. But the majority is, we focus on what's going to make us the most revenue. And that's, for us, it's cabinets, granite, and tile flooring.
Okay, good stuff. And you also use those materials in your own fix and flips.
We do, and one of the great things was our offices. It's about 5,500 square feet, and throughout all, we have 12-foot ceilings in here, and I have 30 by 40-inch pictures of our finished projects lining the upper ring of the entire office. So when clients come in, or potential investors come in, they can see our finished projects right off the bat and see what we do, and then they can say, oh, that looks good. Oh wait, those materials are right there. Let's do that.
Do you go to any real estate investing associations, any RIAs?
I go to some. I'm when I first started off, I went to a lot more. I don't go to that many too much. Every once in a while, I'll go and speak to some of them. But what I do here in Las Vegas, I actually throw basically a quarterly party where anybody that's in real estate, whether I've worked with them or not, they're direct competitors, they're brand new, whatever the case is, we just kind of throw a party. We don't charge admission, we don't do sales pitches, and we serve booze and food and tell people to mingle and have fun. It's kind of our way of giving back to the industry that's done so well for us. And I'm not going to lie, I usually get a couple deals out of it, maybe a few more agents for the brokerage and things like that. But I see people that actually do deals there. It's a deal I would have loved to have had, but you know what? More power to them. There's enough for everybody. I really do live an abundance mentality.
Cool stuff. So I have a couple questions on that. How you said it's a quarterly party. How long have you been running those?
We started, let's see, we've done about 2 years, year and a half. We've been doing them.
And what does it cost you to host these events with alcohol and food and everything? And also, is it sponsored?
We don't do sponsors, and that's a model that some people that you can do. If you take on a sponsorship, you usually have to have a table or displays and banners and things like that. And again, I don't want it pitchy. That's something that I never liked about RIAs. But our average price is somewhere, it ends up being between $400 and $5,500, depending on how much people drink. We average about 100 people at these now, and it's a good time. We're there for, we run them for about 3 hours, and usually have people stick around for another hour and a half. We do it at a local bar that's got plenty of room for everybody, and good food and good company.
Very cool. Very cool. So what do you get out of it? Like, so you said pretty much every time you host one, you get a deal or two. So besides just giving back financially, it may cost you $5,500 to host the event, but because of the relationships that you're making and the deals that you're making, do you think that you actually get more than that $5,500 back just each quarterly, or?
I do.
Okay.
I really do. And one of the other things that we do at these events is we do a raffle, and we raise money for a local charity, where all the money that's raised on the ticket sales, we match ourselves. And that's typically to the tune around $1,500 that we end up raising at each one of these. And it's pretty cool. The grand prize we give out our VIP hockey tickets to the Vegas Knights for a night. So
cool stuff. Well, I'm glad we got into that. So you're doing a lot of creative stuff. One day you said to yourself, I'm doing fix and flips. I'm paying a lot of money in commissions. If I just started my own brokerage, instead of paying those commissions, I'd be actually making those commissions. But furthermore, I'd also be able to feed myself a little bit more deals back and forth, whether it was a deal that needed a realtor or if it was a deal that needed fix and flipper in on it. So I'm just going to start it. I'm not a real estate licensed agent myself. I never will be. I never want to be, but I'll still find a way. And then another day you said, it's very interesting. We're spending all this money on this. What if we just became our own wholesaling material company? And so you did that. You put it in the back third of your store. And then the last thing is you said, all these RIAs are doing it a certain way. I don't necessarily agree with the way that they're doing it. I don't think it's the best way to do it. It's too pitchy. It doesn't make me feel comfortable or invited. So I'm just going to go ahead and host these things and spend $20,000 a year doing 4 of them every year. And we'll see if I get anything back or if the community just gets along with each other. And very, very interesting. Everything that you're doing is really cool. So what advice would you give to a listener?
Well, the way you phrased it makes me sound like a control freak now that I think about it.
Well,
I'm really
maybe you
grabbing
are.
control of all the aspects of what my business is and turning it more profitable. But sorry, what was your the question?
Well, first off, you made me forget it, so that's okay. Now, I think I was going to ask you, we should rewind it and just find out, huh? Dang. I was thinking too much about the control freak, and I was like, I wonder if he is one. Maybe he is. Who knows?
I am a little bit.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to want to have your finger on the pulse of your business and to find ways of saying, I'm spending so much in materials. Why don't I just do my own? So I think it's actually a good thing. So, my question was, what advice do you have? What is some really good advice that you'd have to somebody who was just starting out?
I always tell people to start small and start safe, right? You hear about guys like me, or I mean, I'm nothing special, and what we do really isn't anything special. But it starts small. You can't just jump in and say, I'm going to start 4 companies right now. You take it one step at a time. You don't need to go out and get wholesale contracts on cabinets if you're doing 1 flip a year or you're buying 2 rentals a year. It's just not something that you need to do. Now, if you want, you can create another business and do that, but it takes time, energy, money, and manpower. I obviously don't do all of this myself. Between our construction crews out in the field, our realtors, our internal staff, we really have over 100 mouths that we feed through the various businesses, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. But there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, and that's something that you grow with. If you want to be successful in real estate, you really have to be this entrepreneur. But everybody is different in their entrepreneurship. You don't have to have a big company. You don't have to have 20 people working for you, 3 people, even 1 person working for you. You can do what you want, however you want to do it, and that works with your strengths and also works with your weaknesses. So really, as you're starting out, learn about yourself, and read, listen to podcasts, talk to people, go out to the RIAs and see what other people are doing and figure out what your actual calling is. Maybe you don't want to flip houses. Maybe you want to just do rentals. Maybe you want to do apartment buildings. Maybe you want to do commercial warehouse. Maybe you want to do storage. It's something that you will end up gravitating to something as you progress through the business.
All right, Luke, what is the most creative deal you've ever done?
The one that comes out to mind right now is a fix and flip that we did where we never took ownership of the property. We basically bought the house with a power of attorney contract, and we gave the sellers $15,000 to move. They needed to move. They don't want to deal with realtors. The guy was actually being stationed in Cuba, so that added some nuances to it. But we bought the house for originally I offered a cash price around $340. We ended up settling at $365 with them taking $15,000 up front for moving expenses, and then we took over their mortgage. Now the cool thing about this was that their mortgage was only about $220,000, so I sat on $130,000 of interest-free loan from these sellers. I went in, did about $20,000 in rehab on the house, and then we sold it for $450,000. So we made right around $40,000 on the deal, somewhere in that ballpark. But I just like that one, the way we had to do it, and the back end creativity we had to do as we're paying down their mortgage. That's money that we end up collecting. If every month $200 goes to the mortgage, that's $200 we pay down the principal loan also. So you have to take all those nuances and say, this is my final.
Thank you for going into that. That is really cool. So what's a book you recommend?
It's always cheesy saying my book, but one of the books that I think, going back to the original or the earlier questions, The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy. It's a super easy read. It's got lots of great little tidbits that I think everybody should read, whether you've been in your own business for 20 years or you're just trying to figure out how to get started. The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster.
Go ahead and plug your book.
The Flipping Blueprint.
Okay.
It's what I do in my business, and nothing's held back.
How do people find that book?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, wherever and anywhere.
It's the Flipping Blueprint.
Flipping Blueprint.
All right. Where were you 5 years ago, Luke?
5 years ago, 2013, I was just starting really our flipping company. It was me, my business partner, and 1.5 other people. And we were doing a couple deals a month, and we were pretty happy with that. And we didn't really want to grow at that time, but that's where we were about 5 years ago. And I was working out of my house and just being a dad and having fun.
So you were just starting a fix and flip company, doing about 2 deals a month.
Yep.
And now today you feed about 100 mouths.
Correct.
Very interesting. Very cool. Where will you be 5 years from today?
5 years from today, I'll probably be in a similar scenario where I'm now, but that 100 is probably going to be in the realm of 500 plus. There's probably going to be a couple hundred in construction, a couple hundred agents, and then peripheral staff, and probably another business or two in there on the side. Ideally, I'm traveling more. I love traveling, you might catch me doing a podcast from Europe or Africa or something.
Cool. How do you give back?
Any way I can, whether it's sharing information to people that want to do more. For the last 3 years, I was coaching my son's soccer team, and just sharing that knowledge with younger kids, and raising money for local charities we were doing a toy drive at our brokerage right now for Christmas, and we raise money at our events to give back. And just when you see something that's needed, there's all different ways to give, whether it's time, money, energy. It's something that everybody should do.
How do I get on your list to attend your quarterly meeting? I'd love to check it out.
Normally the way I do it is I don't email blast, because emails get lost. I like people that communicate with me, and I blast it on Facebook. Facebook is my go-to communication device. I run a couple groups in there. One of the groups is the Flipping Blueprint group. So I always post the events there, and we usually have some people from out of town. It's not just Vegas based. It's all real estate people. If you're in town, we'd love to have you, and come on out and have a good time and do some mingling.
Grateful to have you on the podcast today. How else do people find you or your company?
Facebook. We don't do a lot of advertising for the wholesale company right now. We're a bit selective on our clients. I'll be honest about that. For the wholesaling of materials, but you can find me all over Facebook, Luke Weber, and that's 1B. Reach out. I respond, and ask me questions, and happy to help, and maybe we can all do some deals together.
Very enlightening having you on the show today. Thank you so much for letting me kind of dive into your brain and what you're thinking while you're doing all these things. I learned a lot. I know the listener learned a lot. Thanks for coming. And until next time, my friend, think outside the box.